When a narcissistic man is truly hooked on someone, his greeting is rarely casual or incidental. It holds a level of focus and intensity that is difficult to miss once you know what to look for. Unlike the greetings he offers to colleagues, acquaintances, or even friends, the moment he sees you is charged with purpose. He doesn't just say hello and move on. His attention is concentrated, deliberate, and unmistakably different. This subtle shift in energy is the first signal that he has invested emotional attention in you, even if it's wrapped in charm or performance. The heightened focus comes in many forms. His eyes will likely lock onto yours with a steadiness that seems almost magnetic. His body may orient fully toward you, and his posture subtly shifts to signal presence and engagement. These changes are not conscious calculations in the moment. They emerge naturally from his underlying interests, but they are amplified in a narcissist by the intensity of his attachment. He wants to be noticed, he wants to matter, and he wants you to feel that magnetism without him needing to explicitly state it. This level of focus also carries a psychological component. Human beings are wired to respond to attention. When someone's gaze lingers, their body aligns, and their presence becomes intentional, it signals importance on a subconscious level. The narcissist understands this instinctively, or at least intuitively, and he leverages it to create emotional resonance. Even if he is trying to appear casual, the focused energy of his greeting communicates more than words could ever do. You feel it in your chest, in your mind, in that moment of recognition. He's not just seeing you, he's noticing you in a way that feels exclusive. Philosophically, this behavior highlights a deeper truth about human attraction. Presence is more telling than any spoken sentiment. Words can be hollow, charm can be practiced, but focused attention is difficult to fake consistently. When a narcissist is hooked, that attention becomes a window into his inner world, revealing both desire and intent. It's subtle because narcissists are often skilled at masking vulnerability, yet the intensity of their focus naturally leaks through in gestures, eye contact, and tone. At the same time, the intensity of the greeting is rarely static. It may fluctuate slightly depending on context, his mood, or his desire to maintain control. He might appear confident one moment and slightly guarded the next, but the underlying focus remains. It is a constant underlying signal of attachment that does not disappear. The key is learning to recognize that this is not casual engagement, it is deliberate, and it carries the weight of his emotional investment. So when you notice that a man's greeting is markedly different from how he interacts with others, when it feels intentional, magnetic, and charged with presence, pause and take note. This is not simply politeness or social decorum. This is a window into the fact that he is emotionally hooked. Awareness of this subtle signal allows you to understand the dynamics at play, interpret his intentions with clarity, and recognize the difference between casual interest and genuine emotional attachment. When a narcissistic man is hooked on someone, one of the most revealing signs is the way he subtly mirrors your energy, body language, and tone during the greeting. At first glance, this behavior can feel flattering, even natural. You may notice that he laughs when you laugh, leans in when you do, or even echoes the rhythm of your speech. It feels like connection, like he's in sync with you. But in reality, this mirroring is a strategic tool designed to create rapport, draw you in, and make you feel seen and understood. It is a technique used to influence emotional perception, not necessarily a sign of genuine empathy. The psychology behind mirroring is powerful. Humans are wired to feel more comfortable and connected with people who resemble us in subtle ways. This instinct is deeply embedded in our social brains. It signals familiarity, safety, and compatibility. A narcissist instinctively or intuitively understands this dynamic and uses it to his advantage. By reflecting your gestures, tone, and energy, he creates the illusion of intimacy. You feel an emotional resonance almost immediately, and it can feel as if he truly gets you. In truth, this is not about authentic understanding, but about fostering dependence on his attention. What makes narcissistic mirroring particularly insidious is its selective and calculated nature. Unlike natural empathy, which emerges spontaneously, his mirroring is precise and context-driven. He observes your responses carefully, noting what draws a positive reaction or deepens engagement, and then subtly amplifies or repeats these behaviors. This creates a loop in which you begin to respond emotionally, often without consciously realizing why. Your brain interprets his mirrored behavior as confirmation that he is attuned to you, while his underlying motivation is largely self-serving. He wants to secure your attention, admiration, and emotional investment. The subtleness of this mirroring is what makes it so effective. He rarely overplays it. If he did, it would feel artificial. Instead, he integrates it seamlessly into the interaction. He may echo your posture, subtly mimic your gestures, or adopt a similar pace or rhythm in conversation. These small, almost imperceptible cues work collectively to create a sense of alignment that feels deeply personal. You may even find yourself thinking, "He just gets me," unaware that this perception has been strategically orchestrated. Philosophically, this highlights a deeper truth about human connection. Attraction can be engineered when someone understands the underlying mechanisms of emotional resonance. A narcissist leverages this understanding to create the feeling of closeness without necessarily investing in genuine intimacy. Recognizing this allows you to see past the illusion of attunement and evaluate interactions with clarity. So when you notice that a man seems to mirror your energy, gestures, or tone during a greeting, take a moment to reflect on the intent behind it. Ask yourself, is this spontaneous, mutual resonance, or is it selective, calculated, and designed to draw you in? Awareness of this distinction empowers you to respond consciously, maintain your emotional boundaries, and see the difference between authentic connection and strategic manipulation. When a narcissistic man is hooked on someone, his eyes often reveal his true feelings before his words ever do. While he may try to appear casual, confident, or even indifferent, there is an almost involuntary honesty in the way he looks at you. The eyes are one of the most telling indicators of emotional investment because they leak what the conscious mind is trying to control. Even the most skilled manipulator cannot fully suppress the subtle signals that reveal desire, interest, and attachment. Learning to notice these micro-expressions and eye patterns can give you clarity about his intentions long before words or actions confirm them. One of the first signs to observe is the lingering gaze. Unlike typical social interactions where eye contact is brief and functional, a narcissist who is emotionally hooked may hold his gaze for a moment longer than usual. It is not overtly intense or aggressive, but it lingers just enough to communicate attention and interest. This is often accompanied by a subtle softening of the eyes, a flicker of curiosity, or a light that enters the gaze when he sees you. These small shifts signal recognition, focus, and the emotional investment that he may not yet be willing to voice. Another revealing feature is eye tracking and follow-through. Even when you're not looking directly at him, he may subtly monitor your movements, following you with his gaze in ways that feel instinctive rather than calculated. This is part of a narcissist's desire to maintain control and ensure that he remains central in your awareness. The act of observing you, often without your conscious notice, RAI, enforces the sense that he is preoccupied and emotionally engaged. The eyes, in this way, become a window into his focus, desire, and intent, revealing attachment even when his words or demeanor attempt to mask it. Micro expressions, tiny, fleeting facial movements around the eyes, also provide key insights. A quick raise of the eyebrows, a subtle narrowing of the eyes, or a small smile that passes almost imperceptibly are all indicators of emotional arousal or engagement. These movements are difficult to fully control, even for someone trained in manipulation, and they often occur in microseconds, revealing the unfiltered emotional truth beneath the carefully constructed persona. Philosophically, this highlights a profound aspect of human connection. Our eyes are hardwired to communicate emotion before language can intervene. Even in relationships colored by manipulation, the fundamental signals of attention and desire emerge through the eyes. Narcissists may attempt to disguise their motives with charm or strategy, but their eyes betray a pre-conscious pull, a silent acknowledgement of attachment that cannot be fully masked. Recognizing these cues allows you to discern authentic emotional intensity from performance. So when you notice a man's gaze lingering just a little longer than socially typical, or observe subtle shifts in expression that accompany his attention, pause and reflect. Ask yourself, is this a natural, mutual reaction, or is it an involuntary sign of emotional investment that he cannot completely hide? Understanding the language of the eyes equips you to see beyond words and gestures, allowing clarity and insight in interactions that may otherwise feel ambiguous or confusing. When a narcissistic man is emotionally hooked on someone, he often incorporates micro efforts into his greeting, small, almost imperceptible actions designed to capture attention and create an impression of significance. Unlike ordinary greetings, which may be automatic or perfunctory, these gestures are deliberate. They are carefully calibrated to make you notice him, to make you feel acknowledged, and to subtly reinforce the idea that you are important in his world. These micro efforts are rarely grand or overt. Their power lies in their subtlety. A micro effort could be as simple as slightly adjusting his tone when he says your name, leaning in a little more than necessary, or pausing just long enough to ensure you register the weight of his attention. These small tweaks may feel natural, almost instinctive, but they are often part of a conscious or semi-conscious strategy. A narcissist understands, whether intuitively or through experience, that the smallest signals can carry enormous emotional impact. By investing in these tiny moments, he communicates interest without needing to verbalize it explicitly. Another form of micro-effort is the use of deliberate timing and positioning. He may greet you at a moment when others are distracted, ensuring that the interaction feels private and intentional. His body language may shift subtly to face you completely, or his hand gestures may echo yours in a way that creates subconscious rapport. These small cues collectively signal presence and attentiveness, making you feel as if the greeting is uniquely tailored to you. In doing so, he reinforces your emotional engagement and makes his attention feel more significant than it objectively is. The power of these micro efforts lies in their ability to evoke emotional responses without overt declarations. They appeal to our natural desire to be seen, recognized, and valued. You may not consciously notice each individual gesture, but the cumulative effect is profound. You feel an emotional pull, a sense of connection, or even a subtle excitement in his presence, which can make it difficult to separate genuine interest from calculated attention. Philosophically, this behavior underscores a deeper truth about human perception. We are highly sensitive to nuanced social cues, and small actions can carry disproportionate emotional weight. A narcissist exploits this instinctive responsiveness, carefully embedding signals of interest into otherwise ordinary interactions. Recognizing these subtle efforts allows you to discern between authentic connection and performance. It teaches you to observe the context, consistency, and intent behind the gesture rather than reacting purely to the emotional effect it produces. So when you notice a man adding subtle flourishes to his greeting, an intentional pause, a slight smile, a nuanced gesture, pause and reflect on what it truly signifies. Ask yourself, is this natural warmth, or is it a calculated effort to capture your attention and measure your response? Understanding the intent behind these micro efforts gives you clarity and allows you to navigate interactions with insight and confidence. When a narcissistic man is emotionally hooked, one of the most revealing signs appears in his inconsistency and subtle fluctuation during interactions. Sometimes he will greet you warmly, with attention and energy that feels magnetic, and at other times, he may seem distant, restrained, or even indifferent. This isn't a reflection of his feelings shifting randomly, it is a deliberate pattern. Narcissists are highly attuned to control and perception, and this oscillation between attention and distance is a strategic way to manage both his emotions and yours. Understanding this behavior is key to recognizing when his interest is genuine and when it is being used as a tool of influence. This fluctuation works because human emotions are wired to respond to unpredictability. When someone alterna between engagement and withdrawal, it triggers an emotional response similar to intermittent reinforcement. Your mind becomes attentive, analyzing every cue, every word, and every gesture. You start to anticipate moments of connection, and that anticipation heightens your emotional involvement. The narcissist understands this instinctively. By providing attention in bursts and then retracting it, he creates a subtle cycle of desire, curiosity, and emotional engagement, keeping you focused on him without committing fully. One of the most important aspects of this inconsistency is that it is rarely overt. You might notice that one day his greeting is animated and focused, full of warmth and charm, and the next it is brief, casual, or even neutral. These swings are designed to provoke a reaction without appearing controlling. They make you question what you did, how he feels, and whether you are being noticed, an emotional loop that reinforces his presence in your mind and subtly increases his perceived importance. The inconsistency also reflects a deeper internal conflict. A narcissist may be emotionally hooked, yet simultaneously motivated to maintain control over his vulnerability. This duality manifests in the push and pull behavior. The warmth signals attachment, while the withdrawal maintains distance and authority. The interplay between these two extremes is a silent communication of his emotional state. It tells you he is interested, but also that he is carefully managing how much of himself he reveals. Recognizing this allows you to interpret his behavior with nuance rather than reacting impulsively to the emotional swings. Philosophically, this behavior demonstrates a key principle about narcissistic interaction. Attachment does not always translate into consistent behavior. Emotional investment can coexist with manipulation, creating patterns that feel, confusing and even addictive. Understanding that the oscillation itself is a tool rather than a reflection of inconsistency in feelings gives you clarity and insight into the dynamics at play. So when you notice a man alternating between warm engagement and subtle withdrawal in his greetings, pause and observe. Ask yourself, is this simply human variation, or is it a deliberate mechanism to maintain control and test your reactions? Awareness of this distinction empowers you to respond consciously, protect your emotional energy, and recognize the signs of hidden attachment. When a narcissistic man is truly hooked on someone, one of the most revealing signs is how his greeting functions as an invitation rather than a conclusion. Unlike ordinary interactions, where a greeting serves merely as a polite acknowledgement, his approach signals that he wants more attention, more engagement, and more connection. This is not always overt. It's a subtle, almost imperceptible quality in the way he positions himself, the energy he exudes, and the timing of his words and gestures. The greeting becomes a doorway, a space where he sets the stage for continued interaction, rather than a simple social ritual. One of the hallmarks of this behavior is intentional presence. He doesn't simply nod or mutter a greeting, he shows up fully, even in small ways. His body leans slightly forward, his tone carries an extra note of warmth or interest, and his eyes track yours with subtle focus. These micro-signals communicate availability and openness, but also signal that he wants your engagement in return. He is not merely passing by, he is creating a moment where you are central to his attention, and he is subtly inviting you to step into that space emotionally. Timing and context also play a crucial role. A narcissist who is hooked may choose moments to greet you when it feels impactful. When others are not watching, or when the interaction feels semi-private. By controlling the context, he enhances the perceived intimacy of the greeting. This is not just about charm, it is about influence. He wants the greeting to feel meaningful, to leave an impression, and to encourage a reciprocal response. In essence, the greeting is a tool to draw you closer while maintaining the subtle perception that you have agency in the interaction. Another layer of this behavior is the subtle creation of emotional anticipation. His greeting often leaves space, pauses, slight smiles, or nuanced body language that implies there is more to come. He is inviting you into a moment, but not closing it. That openness is compelling because it activates curiosity and engagement on your part. You are drawn to fill the space, to respond, and to invest emotionally, which is exactly what he wants. It's a quiet form of influence designed to make you feel involved and significant without overt declarations. Philosophically, this behavior underscores a deeper principle about human connection. Genuine interest often communicates itself through invitations rather than demands. However, in the context of narcissism, these invitations are carefully calibrated. They signal attachment and desire, but always on the narcissist's terms, subtly guiding your emotional response while maintaining his control. Recognizing this pattern allows you to discern the difference between authentic curiosity and strategic engagement. So when you notice that a man's greeting carries extra attention, openness, or subtle cues that invite engagement rather than conclude it, pause and observe carefully. Ask yourself, is this an organic sign of interest? Or is it a structured effort to draw you in while measuring your reactions? Understanding the intent behind the greeting empowers you to see past surface charm and interpret interactions with clarity.